So perhaps one of the best and most notorious wholesale websites that you can source from is eedistribution.com. Now there's many ways to source from eedistribution.com, and I will cover them briefly. The two main ways briefly here, and then below this there will be other tutorials on how you can basically source through and how I source through to find profitable products which you can then resell back on Amazon or other places for a profit. Okay, now keep in mind too that when you apply for e-distribution, it is like a wholesale website or a liquidation website, so you do need a wholesale certificate to get accepted. That said, one of the benefits of a site like e-distribution, and there are a couple of them, we'll cover them here in a second, but one of the benefits of a site like e-distribution is it's very reputable, and you go through you don't just sign up and get and apply and get accepted and then they kind of let you source through. You actually go through an orientation phone call, which is anywhere from a half hour to an hour long, where a representative from EE basically walks you through how to use the website, different ways that you can source, and different ways that they'll let you know and keep you updated on new products or potentially popular products or products that you've identified that you might be interested in, or even products that they think that you can make a profit on. So it's in their best interest to make you succeed so that you buy more of their products. So the whole orientation call, don't sleep on it. It will really help you understand the website, how to source, and more importantly, how to develop that relationship with your actual supplier as well. So EE Distribution is on your team. It's a great website to utilize, and on top of that, during the orientation call, there are some discounts that they give you on your first order ahead of time. I forget what it was. It's been so long since my first order. It might have been anywhere from like 10 to 50% off. I really don't remember. And on top of that, they give you, I think it's 50% off, and then like a slight slight cut of the fee off too for using their FBA Prep Center. So if you order from them directly and you want to ship into Amazon, you can basically get the first shipment, the first order 50% off or 10% off or whatever it was. He'll tell you that, or she'll tell you that in your orientation call. And then on top of that, you also get a discount for using their FBA Prep Center. So for example, if I wanted to source this Better Red Than Pred, action figure, right, and I wanted to ship it into FBA, I have a few options. One, I could either ship it to myself, make sure that all of them are there, and then repackage it up and ship it into FBA, where obviously I'd be charged for the product, I'd be charged for the shipping to me, and then I would have to pay to ship it back into FBA as well, right? Instead of that, I can actually have EE Distribution, like some of the liquidation sites that we'll cover in this actual course, actually prep and ship it into FBA for me, and they do that for a slight fee per product, and that is something else that you can basically get information on and get information on the discount that you can get in your orientation call. So don't sleep on the orientation call. I would be remiss if I basically went through and organized and basically told you all those things myself, because the representative from e-distribution can do it a lot better than I can. I'm just here to show you how I source from e-distribution, the benefits of it, and how you can as well, okay? So don't sleep on the orientation call. Now, there's two main ways that I source, and it's notorious for using, that people use e-distribution to find profitable products and source from this website, okay? So first and foremost is obviously, just like any other wholesale or potential liquidation company, you want to find profitable products that you can then resell back online, or specifically Amazon's mainly where I focus some of them, but you can also sell these back on eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, depending on whatever it is and depending on where you see the opportunity, right? Pretty self-explanatory. That's number one. You find profitable products just like any other of these websites, you sell them back online. And number two is sometimes you'll notice that one of the ways that people use e-distribution is to get ungated for certain brands. So this is great for people that want to get into potential retail arbitrage. This is great for people that want to get into other, use other wholesale suppliers to source their inventory potentially, or other places to source their inventory, but are gated for certain top brands, okay? So one of the benefits of using a site like this is you'll see that on the side they have a number of other brands. So right here, if we click on the companies, and you can click see more companies, and there are hundreds if not thousands of the companies on here. So two examples of ways that I've used this to get ungated, and some of these products that you're going to go ahead and get, if you want to go ahead and get ungated, you might not be profitable in those products. So one of the examples is, to give you an example, I did this with Bandai and I also did this with Mattel. So what happened was, sometimes I like to source online, and I've talked about sites like Brickseek before. That is not a wholesale website. And I also like to do some retail arbitrage, although I rarely do that. But if I'm like at a store with like my girlfriend or something and she's taking forever, I'll hit the clearance aisle and just see if any of those things can be profitable, right? And as I'm currently in Q4 right now and toys sell really well, and this is a toy manufacturer wholesale website, I happen to notice that there was a bunch of Barbies on clearance, super cheap with a great profit margin. But Barbie is owned by Mattel, right? Barbie is a sub brand of the brand Mattel. So I'm gated for Barbie on Amazon, so I can't sell them, so I can't make that profit, right? And I noticed that when I scanned it in. So what then I did is I came back to e-distribution, I went to Mattel, and I basically sorted for the cheapest Mattel products on this website so that I could basically buy 10 of a quantity, because that's one of the things that we'll talk about. And it's okay if this is going over your head right now. I'll hit it. I'm sure I'll hit this home in the tutorials directly below this video as well. What you basically need to do to use an invoice to get ungated is you need to have an invoice that shows at least 10 of a certain product, right? So if you buy, eight of a Mattel product on e-distribution, you can't use that to get ungated on Amazon because it's not a quantity of 10 or more, okay? So you need to buy at least 10 of a product to get ungated for that brand. So what I then did is I came to Mattel and I sorted for the price low to price high, and I sorted for show in stock only as well. And what that's going to do is it's going to show me the cheapest potential Mattel products that I can buy to then ship into Amazon, to then give them the Amazon the invoice from e-distribution showing 10 of my quantity of this Barbie brand from a legitimate wholesale manufacturer. In this case, it's e-distribution, and boom, I was accepted to then sell and ungated to sell Barbie products. And then every time I go to the store and I see those clearance things and those clearance prices on Barbie, I can then sell them because now I'm ungated. So that's another way that people use this to get ungated so that they can sell it or source from other places, okay? Another example of this, I forget who it was. It might have been Bandai, maybe. It was one of the other companies. But I basically bought, I think, 10 of an Uno deck and 10 of a Phase 10 deck, which were two top brands. I forget the exact brands that they were. I literally did this like a week ago. And basically by doing that, it literally cost me like $25 for 10 of those because they were super cheap on this website. And then I was ungated for those brands going forward. So just to give you an example here, here's a perfect example, Skip Bo, right? So this is a Mattel game right here. If this was in stock currently, then you could buy 10 of these for, whatever that is. So the price per case, if you're buying 1 to 13 in the case quantity, would then be $39.60 or roughly $4.95 a piece. So if you were buying a case of these at 10 of them, you'd end up spending $4.95 is times 10, which if we pull the calculator up really fast, pull it up and do the math. So what is it? $4.95 times 10. It would then cost you $49.50 to get ungated for Mattel by simply buying 10 of these, shipping them into FBA, showing Amazon your invoice to get ungated in it, and then boom, you're ungated for Mattel and potential Barbie products in the future, okay? And obviously you're going to recoup some of this money, but this is version number 2, right? So number 1, you're not doing any of this. You're just trying to find profitable products, hence what I'm talking about in the tutorials below. This is number 2, and this is version number 2, to just use this to get ungated for certain brands, and then you can source them other places. So obviously you're not going to be out $49. You're not paying $50 essentially to get ungated, right? You're going to pay $50 roughly to get 10 of these, then you're going to resell them back on Amazon, and you might lose like $10 to $15 potentially after fees and after everything else, because you're spending $50, you might make like, I don't know, like $55 back, and then maybe your fees ended up costing you like $20, right? So you're still losing money, but then you're ungated to sell Barbie and Mattel in the future, okay? So those are the two main ways that you can use e-distribution and wholesale sites in general to either source profitable products or get ungated for top brands. So hope that makes sense, and in the tutorials below you can see more examples of me sourcing through this actual website and how I use it to find profitable products. So in the next few tutorials right here, I'm going to show you how to manually source through EE distribution. Now that is relevant because not all wholesale suppliers allow you to get product catalogs, right? So a lot of them aren't going to actually give you their entire list of products and the sale prices so that you can compare them to Amazon sale prices with software, okay? Now this is a valuable skill because you can always source manually on these sites if you don't have the software, if you don't want to pay for software, and vice versa, right? And there are going to be sites like we talked about before with BBCW. So as you build out your product list or your wholesale supplier list of actually good suppliers that you can source from, there are going to be in there places where they don't give you product catalogs, right? And they're still good products because keep in mind that because a lot of people are using software, not a lot of people are going to be sourcing these manual sites right here. So there are phenomenal product opportunities with high margins on those sites if you know how to source manually, okay? The reason I'm telling you that is because A, there's great opportunity on those sites if you source manually and you have the patience and you know how to do it effectively, okay? And B, I'm telling you this and making this lecture because in the next 3 lectures, I'm going to drop 3 different examples of me sourcing manually on EE distribution specifically. Now, while I don't source on EE distribution manually anymore because I put their product catalog through a software like you're going to see in this course called Scan Unlimited, it is a valuable skill for you to learn and kind of get different looks of me sourcing manually so that you can take that knowledge and information and apply it to sites like BBCW because I'm telling you, so while you don't want to necessarily, because one of the benefits of wholesale is that you can throw product catalogs into software to source for you and save your time, right? You are not there. Some of the best products and the most profitable products that I've ever found are on sites like BBCW where you are sourcing manually because, like I said, nobody wants to do that, right? So if you can better learn how to source manually, you can obviously get access to higher ROI products, which you can make more money on. So it is still a valuable skill to have, okay? So in the next lecture and the next 2 or 3 lectures after that, I'm going to drop manual sourcing videos, and then we'll talk about and get into the automatic sourcing with software. I want to run you through how to get the most popular and hottest brand name toys and products to then resell back online for a ridiculous profit. Now, one of the benefits of a site, this one in particular called EE Distribution that I'm going to run you here through in a second, is that you're going to source like popular brand names. So stuff like Star Wars, right? Stuff like Game of Thrones, stuff like, there's a million different ones here that you can obviously go through. But some of the top stuff, like Frozen and Disney and Hasbro, all the top brands you can source with this site. And one of the best parts about it is once you get, I'm going to run you through how to actually get accepted to this site, is that once you place an order with these and you can source through this website to find, profitable items that you can then resell back on sites like Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. We're going to focus mainly on Amazon and eBay here in this video specifically. Then you can use those wholesale, the wholesale invoices from this website to get ungated in those actual brands. So, hope that blows your mind, right? So that's the best part about it is not only can you source these popular brands, not only can you source them for a profit and buy them in bulk from this website that's a reputable company, but it also allows you to get ungated with these brands here on Amazon, right? So with Amazon, if you ever add a product and it says you can't list this product, you need an invoice or you need authorization from the brand owner, right? Well, in this particular case, you can send the invoice as long as it's above a quantity of 10. So for example, if I wanted to get ungated for this Star Wars merchandise right here, right? I would have to buy more than 10 of these here, which it looks like they're $8.92 per case. Let me just pull up an example really fast. It looks like they're $8.92 per unit, $53.50 per case, and I would need to buy more than 10 of these to get ungated, but I could then use that invoice if I bought 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 or whatever to get ungated to sell that on Amazon where the highest sales velocity is, the most potential profit margin, usually, sometimes it's eBay, but usually I've seen that it's Amazon with sites like this. It's a really great way to get ungated, sell profitable brand name products that have a high sales velocity and already are people are already looking for on sites like Amazon, right? So I'm going to walk you through how to actually use this and sourcing some example products here in a second, but I want to cover some things here. Now, I am in no way affiliated with EE Distribution. I'm not promoting this. This wasn't like paid or anything. I'm simply recommending it to you guys to give you value because there's so much potential with this website. So one of the best benefits to a site like this is that they do allow you to tap into their distribution network. They do allow you to use their warehouse, and they do ship directly from their warehouse and package all your stuff in into FBA, right? So you don't need a middleman. You don't need to ship it to your house or to your apartment first. You don't need a warehouse to receive these items and then ship them into FBA. Sometimes, to basically, vet the products or inspect them or anything like that, or relabel them. They will literally do this all for you, and they're used to doing it. They expect that if you buy on here, you're probably gonna want to ship it into FBA, which is fulfillment by Amazon, for those of you that don't know. So it's a really, really great way to buy really, really cheap items and then use their distribution network and their warehouse and their workers to get your stuff into FBA very, very cheap. Now, another benefit of this is you do have 5% off your first order. So my 5% is already gone, but you can use your 5%. And you don't have to use it on your first order if you're kind of just testing it out. So if you want to save it for like a bigger order, you want to just place like a small order to test out their network or test out their website first with a small order, then I would recommend saving your 5% for a bigger bulk order where you can save a lot more money on it. You don't have to use it on your first order, but it's just recommended by their team. So you're going to get a code in your email when you get welcomed. Another benefit too is you have 50% off because they want to get you acquainted with the FBA program where they actually ship your stuff into FBA. So you get 50% off FBA fees or send into FBA fees for the first 90 days while you're on the website. So that's a great benefit to it as well. I believe, not 100% sure about the percentage. I'm pretty sure it was 5%. I had my orientation call like a week ago, so I don't remember exactly what the charge was, and my units haven't shipped out of the FBA center, so I haven't been hit with that charge yet. But it's 100% 60 cents. I'm 100% positive that it's 60 cents per unit initially, so not with a 50% discount. So right off the bat, it's 60% per unit. So if you buy 10 units, you're looking at $6, right? So it's 60 cents per unit plus 5% of the total order cost, okay? So that's the send into FBA fees. That's all you're paying to get them to label your products, put the invoice together basically, and ship it into FBA for you, right? So you're not paying any other fees but that. But for the first 90 days, you get 50% off that. So that means that it's only 30 cents per unit, and I believe 2.5% of the total order cost. I'm not 100% sure about the 5% or the 2.5%. I'm like 90% sure. Like I said, I haven't been hit with the charge yet, so I'm not 100% sure. But I'm like 90% sure that that's what the guy quoted me when I actually placed the order. And I remember looking into it. I just, for the sake of me, can't remember it right now. So you're getting top brands here. Like I said, Hasbro, Disney, Star Wars, all sorts of stuff like that. And obviously there's a high sales velocity for these. So you're not sourcing like a private label product where it might sit there for a while. No, these are flipping like that, especially when you find a good product that has practically no competition. And they give you all that stuff too. So to give you an example, once I was through my orientation, basically this guy, my product manager or my distribution manager, sent me all the toys that were trending currently and things that he thought that I would like based on our orientation call, which is something we're going to talk about here in a second. And he also gave me some information about the FBA program and things that I should look into that work well with the FBA program. So they really go out of their way to help you. Like I said, they set up the orientation call with you right when you apply and right when you get accepted, and you give them your wholesale certificate. And then it basically acquaints you for about an hour with the site and the best ways to source with the site. So this sounds like a commercial. It's not, I swear. I'm not affiliated with them at all. It's just a really, really, really great place where you can find brand name products that flip super, super well on Amazon. So there's definitely a market for these, and there's definitely ways to do product research that I will show you. But take advantage of this website. You only need a wholesale certificate. So if you get your wholesale certificate, which you can basically do by going to the irs.gov, filing for an EIN number, then going to your state website and filing for your wholesale certificate with your EIN number, and then you're going to simply submit that wholesale certificate to EE Distribution, and boom, you get accepted. Then they'll set up an orientation call with you, walk you through how to use the website and basically how to source from it and the best techniques that you can utilize, okay? So that's that in a nutshell. Now, let me show you some sourcing techniques and where you might want to resell them. Now, you can obviously resell them back on sites like Poshmark and Mercari. If you're ranking your accounts there, you can utilize that to your advantage potentially in the future if you think that there's a market for items like that. I see these pop toys sell on Mercari all the time for like 10 to 15 to 20 bucks. So you can keep in mind that there's a market for these on Mercari. I know that for a fact. Now, I wouldn't necessarily source these for Mercari because there's no way, or Poshmark realistically, because there's no way specifically to test the sales velocity and the potential profit margin of it. But you could buy a couple and take a chance if you want to. primarily in this video, we're going to be talking about sourcing for Amazon and sourcing for eBay, because those are the two ways that you can basically check 100%, or maybe like 90% on eBay, but 100% on Amazon for the actual sales velocity of those items. So to give you an example, let's just pull up the very first one right here. Okay, we'll check this one out. So Star Wars Retro Collection action figures, Wave 1 case, set of 6. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take this to Amazon and I'm going to search for this product to see if there is that product actually on Amazon. So Star Wars the Retro Collection right here, looks like black boxes with a retro thing, and you have all these characters right here. So these are the black boxes right here. You have those Princess Leia, you have the Stormtrooper, you have Han, you have Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Darth Vader, the Stormtrooper, Han. So then is that Luke or Anakin? That's probably Luke. And then Chewie. So then you got Luke and Chewie. So there they are with black in the retro right here. So this is listed for $129. There's 4 sellers currently, but the fact that this is super, super high right here probably means that it's not selling well, because usually the margins are a lot lower because the sales velocity is very, very high. So that's the first indicator that this might not be a good listing. So let's scroll down. I bet you it's pretty high. And it is. It's 416 in Toys and Games. So if we run the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, it's going to tell us it's probably not selling that well. So boom, we can nix that product right off the bat. That's a bad one. That's a bad example of one. Let me find a different one for you. So let's try this one really fast, just to give you a better example. And obviously you guys can spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes finding an item and sourcing through this website and using the techniques that you learn in your orientation call to basically find profitable items. And all you need, it's not like a coupon website, right? It's not like you hop on and you just see immediate products and you have to buy a bunch of them. So that's the drawback. It's like you get the benefit of seeing immediate products, but then you have to buy a bunch of them with coupon codes over and over and over again. It's not like that. Instead, what it is like is you source for like 15, 20 minutes, and all you need to do is find one good profitable product with high sales velocity, and then, and you want to check the competition, obviously, and I'm going to show you kind of how to do that here. And then what you want to do is you're going to buy a bunch of them, right? Because then you want that margin over and over and over again, maybe 20 times or 50 times, depending on how many items, and obviously that's going to vary depending on how much capital you have to invest, and potentially how much, sales velocity and what the best seller rank is. So let's find this one right here. My Hero Academia Deku Full Cow Glow in the Dark Pop Vinyl Figure. So I'm going to search through this one and see if this one's here. And that looks like it right there. So Funko Pop vinyl figure. It might be this one actually. Pop Anime Hero Academia. Entertainment Earth exclusive. So no, it is this one because it was the Entertainment Earth exclusive. So let's check this one really fast and see what this one looks like. This is probably another bad listing. So you're getting good examples. Actually, this isn't that bad. It's selling pretty frequently in Toys and Games. It's super new, and there's barely any competition here yet for this, and nobody even has it in Amazon Prime yet or FBA. So that could be a great example. It's super new. It's so new that it doesn't even have a review yet. And if you look over here on the main thing right here, some of these are usually sorted by, sometimes depending on how you're going to sort them. Look, this is hot off the truck right here. And this might be fairly new as well. So this is first to market. You either want to be first to market or last to market. You don't want to be right in the middle. So it also, if you look at some of these things right here too, it gives you like the minimum advertised price, which is like you're not supposed to sell it less than that. It also tells you what the suggested retail price is and some of the MSRPs here. Now keep in mind that we're potentially getting this at $7.90 per unit if we buy a case of them. Now if we buy a case quantity more than 18, then we're going to get them at $7.40. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to just assume that we're paying $7.90 for this. So let's see if this is profitable, if there's a good sales velocity, and if this is a legitimate product. So boom, this looks like it's selling very, very well, and whoever actually has this doesn't even have it in stock yet, and the only 2 sellers on this don't have it in FBA. So this is actually a very, very great product. Now, another way to test, if you don't want to actually look through the used and new, and like sometimes there might be like 3 sellers here, sometimes there might be 20, sometimes there might be 1, sometimes there might be 10. So a great plugin that you can use right here is Online Seller Add-on, and if you hit this plugin right here, it's going to show you how many of each product in quantity those sellers have. So if you look here, Quick Send right here has 5 of them, and they're selling them in collectible condition. While Otaku Toy Collection LLC has 126 of them listed at $31.74, they're also fulfilled by merchant and they're listed as new. So basically what it's telling me is I could buy a number of these flip them on Amazon for, less than $28.91 potentially, and potentially even more than that, because if I ship them into FBA, I'm going to tap into Amazon's Prime and FBA program, so that I might be able to potentially even sell them roughly at the same price or even a little bit more, because I have 2-day shipping. And we already know that the two main things that go into who gets the buy box, which is the add to cart right here, is price and availability to the customer. And obviously, if I'm shipping FBA, I have more availability to the customer. So this is actually a pretty solid product. It looks like it's selling well. There's only 2 people listing this so far, and neither of them are Prime. So, and also the margins there, right? So if we ship this in, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, $7.90 per unit is what I'm paying. I could find the FBA calculator and figure out exactly what my margin's for if I shipped it into FBA, right? So to give you an example, we want to take the ASIN here, and I didn't want to do this because I don't want to waste your time, so I'm not going to go too intensive with it. But I paste the ASIN. All this is basically doing here is it's giving me an idea of what my FBA costs are going to be if my product is this weight, this size, etc., etc. So what is the cost of my product, right? Well, the cost of my product is $7.90, right? So the cost of my product is $7.90. The item price is about $28. I'm going to say $28 because I'm going to list it a little bit under the buy box potentially to flip it and sell it. And keep in mind, if I'm buying like 20 of these, it says that they're selling 9 a day. So that means in 2 days, I would sell out and have that profit margin, okay? I wasn't expecting to find a good product like this. I just stumbled upon it like this, and I honestly might buy this afterwards, because even if you see this, chances are by the time you get accepted to e-distribution and you have your wholesale certificate and you place your order, you'll be way behind me and my products have already sold. So it doesn't really matter if I tell you or not. It's all about being first to market, right? So 28 is the unit price right here. The shipping per unit, if I send it in, is going to be super cheap. So I'm just going to say it because if I'm shipping in a box of like 20 or 10, it might be like 10 cents per unit. It's very, very cheap. And the cost of my product is $7.90. And oh, that's my fulfillment actually. Whoops. That was my fault right there. So ship to Amazon price is 10 cents roughly, and the cost of my product is $7.90. So what would my net profit margin be if I'm paying $7.90 for it? I have all these fees in FBA, right? And I list my item price at $28. Well, my net margin is about 44.82% or $12.55 per every unit that I sell. So let's just say I wanted to place an order of, 20 of these. I might even go more. Let's say I'm going to place an order of 30 because they're selling about 9 a day. Now, does that mean I'm going to sell, 9 every single day? No, I like to take a conservative estimate. So let's say I sell, 5 a day, which is probably pretty conservative and pretty low. What basically would happen then is in 6 days I will be sold out of my inventory, and I will make whatever that is, $12.55 times 30. Whoops. $12.55 times 30. And boom, there you go. $376.50 in 6 days. Probably more realistically 4 or 5, but I just like to be a little bit conservative. So I'm not going to waste your time and source through all these, different products. There's so many freaking brand name products on here that have high sales velocity. I mean, look at this one. This doesn't even, it's first to market right here. It doesn't even have any reviews yet. There's nobody in FBA, and it's already selling 16,000 in toys and games, which is a massive freaking category as we move into Q4, where toys and games flip like candy, dude, like clockwork. So hop on EE Distribution. It's an incredible website that you can utilize to your advantage. Today, I'm going to run you through yet another tutorial of EE Distribution, which is a wholesale website that is basically a wholesaler of top brand name toys. I'm going to run you through how to find a profitable product. I literally just found one. I'm going to show you an example of a product that is going to net me at least $40 profit margin per unit on this, and it's a top brand name product. As you see here, I'll pull it up here in a second. It is Star Wars, okay? So I'm going to tell you how to find, my process essentially, some of the positives and the negatives of sourcing through top brand names and wholesalers like EE Distribution. Now, it is a little bit different than your coupon arbitrages or, anything like that, right? Or your cashback arbitrages. With those types of business models, it's very, 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 very easy to hop on a website and find a profitable product or a free product that you can then resell back on sites like Amazon, eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari for a margin that is very, very high, right? It's very, very easy. The drawback of a coupon or a cashback arbitrage, however, is that you need to do that over and over and over again, right? So yeah, you might find one or two very easily, but then you need to continuously find one or two on multiple different websites over and over and over again to scale up to a certain degree where you're going to be making thousands and thousands every single month, okay? So that's the benefits and the drawbacks of, the coupon arbitrage and a cashback arbitrage type business model. With EE distribution, right, where you're sourcing from wholesale websites and you're finding top brand names that already have higher sales velocities, the drawbacks and the positives are a little bit different. So the drawbacks, and this is very similar to liquidation arbitrage drawbacks and positives as well. The drawbacks are you need to sort through a little bit more, right? You need to do more upfront research. Like I said, with coupon arbitrage and cashback arbitrage on one hand, it's very, very, very easy to find good profitable products, but then you have to do that over and over and over again, right? With wholesale or liquidation arbitrage, on the other hand, you need to do more upfront product research ahead of time to find a potential good product. Make sure that it is actually profitable. Check your competition out and make sure that it's going to stay profitable, because obviously you're ordering it in bulk and you want to maintain those profits over the time that you're selling it, right? You want to check the sales velocity. You want to do a lot more upfront product research on that to make sure that it's profitable. So it's not as easy, to put it simply. One of the drawbacks of liquidation or wholesale, like we're going to talk about today, is it's not as easy to find a good product. But the benefit, however, is once you do find a good product, whether it's liquidation arbitrage and it's a pallet actually, and we're talking about an entire pallet, right? Or it's wholesale arbitrage and you find a good product like the one we're going to go over here in a second, then in that case, you can buy many of that quantity, a lot like bulk deal arbitrage as well. You can buy many of that quantity, and let's say you were making $5 profit margin, per item on a coupon arbitrage deal, right? You have to find, 100 of those to make $500, right? Makes sense. Whereas with the bulk deal arbitrage or the liquidation arbitrage or the wholesale arbitrage, like we're talking about here today on EE distribution, you only need to find one product. Yes, you need to do a lot of product research, but it only takes one good product, and then you can buy a number of that product. You can buy 50, you can buy 100, obviously making sure that the sales velocity on Amazon keeps up with that demand, but all you need is one product, and then you can buy many of that and then just send it into FBA and let it sell for you. Your work is done, and your money's just going to accumulate in your Seller Central, okay? When I usually go through e-distribution, I do a number of different things. You can hook up software to this. You can do a number of different things. I personally like to sort through. I don't like to get stuff that a lot of other people are going after. So one thing that you'll learn when you start working with wholesalers is they tell you either want to be first to market, or you want to be last to market, or you want to be selling things that aren't necessarily top brands that everybody else is going after, because you're going to have a number of other competitors. Now, there's nothing wrong with competitors with wholesale, because if you're sharing the buy box with other sellers that are more experienced, then generally you're all going to share the sales, and it's okay to do that. That said, I like to approach it a little bit differently, so I'll literally just randomly click a brand at, when I have some downtime, right? And I'll sort through that brand to see, and we're talking obviously like Star Wars, right? Or top name brands like Hasbro or Mattel or anything like that. So EE distribution mainly focuses on toys, but there are a number of other wholesale arbitrage, wholesalers online that you can sort through. Just Google some, or reverse engineer it, search a brand on Amazon and figure out in Google who sells that brand and how to find wholesalers for that brand, okay? But I like to randomly do it because I think that that's one of the best ways to find other products that people aren't basically doing that. Everybody has their own system, but I like to just sort through randomly. So what I'll do is I'll either come over to one of the companies like Bandai or Hasbro or Funko Pop, right? And I stay away from Funko Pop because that's a major trend right now, that it seems like Amazon is literally on every listing and everybody's going out and buying that because they seem to be profitable. But obviously, just like any pendulum, I expect it to swing back in the other direction, and I don't want to get caught with a lot of inventory when that happens. Just my opinion. It could be right, it could be wrong, but that's just how I like to approach it. So like I said, I'll either click a random company, or I'll literally come up and they tell you that One of the ways that EE distribution is set up is that there's literally an A in every single listing. So if you search A initially, this is like the first thing they tell you in orientation, then you're going to find literally a list of their entire website's stock and inventory, right? So literally all their listings have an A in it somewhere on purpose. So what I'll do instead is I'll type a random letter in there, or maybe 2 random letters. So let's say like a P, right? And that's going to search through all the listings on their site that have a P in them, which obviously isn't the entirety of all of their listings, okay? And like I said, I like to keep it random, so that's what I like to do from time to time if I'm not literally going down and searching for like a theme or a specific company and then sorting through, right? And I'll click in stock only because I'm not interested in ordering a back order thing, and I'm not interested in finding anything that's coming in the future. So I want to click the in stock only button. Well, now basically what I do is I sort through and I literally look at the suggested retail price, because that gives me an indication, not always, of what it potentially might sell for on Amazon, right? And I also look at the price per purchase. So if I buy 3 to 12 pieces, right, that's what it's going to be. If I buy 15 plus pieces, that's what it's going to be per unit. So can I make money off this? Well, potentially, because if I do buy more than 15 pieces of this, if it's selling well, right, then I would be getting each unit at $30.60 to my door, and I could potentially sell them all for $45.99, maybe more, maybe less, right? That's just an indication what it might be selling for on Amazon and around that. So I would probably not go with this one because the margin doesn't look too enticing for the risk of $30, right? I might make after fees like $3 or $4 on that after all the fees and shipping into FBA and everything. So I'm going to avoid that, but I'm just trying to explain to you the way that I approach it, okay? Next thing's right here, so that's $14. So make sure that you're checking here in stock too at the top, right? And then this says temporarily out of stock, okay? So this is $14.99 is a suggested retail price. Again, an indicator of what it might be selling for on Amazon, okay? My price would be $9.95 if I buy 48 or more, or $10.71 if I buy 8 to 40 of them. So that's also not a good one. And keep in mind too that just like I hit on in the beginning, you're not just going to hop on, type a random letter in, or look through random things right here. I do this in my spare time, when I have some downtime and I just want to potentially find a good product to make an extra 100 or a couple $100 on. This is exactly what I do. That's how I scale it, in my spare time, because I don't do online arbitrage full time. I probably do it 10 to 30 hours a week maybe. I don't really count. But if you did want to scale this up, you could obviously really, really go in full-heartedly and spend, 5 to 10 hours a day sourcing and finding the products, and then you could scale it up like that, okay? So you are going to have to sort through and find sort through a bunch of different products and figure out what's potentially profitable. So you might swing and miss 100 times, right? You could swing and miss twice and then get lucky on your third one. Probably won't happen, but you never know. So you need to swing and miss a bunch of different times, but all you need to do is find that one listing that you can buy cheap on a site like this that's a wholesale site, and then it's selling for more, and it also has a good sales velocity on Amazon that you could then sell for a profit, and then you buy many of that quantity, right? So you get the picture. You want to go down and you want to do product research. So $10.99, $6.60, probably knowing what I know, probably not going to make me much money, if at all. Now, if I needed to research this, I would basically take the title, right? So Rick and Morty, Pickle Rick with laser pop vinyl figure, and I would take that into Amazon and search it and do product research, because none of it matters if it's not actually selling on Amazon for a profit and selling well. So it looks like this is it right there, and this is temporarily out of stock, but I'm just showing you how to do product research. So we got the Rick and Morty vinyl figure. It looks like this one because that's with the case, and we don't have the case. So this is selling for $9.83 on Amazon. Amazon is selling it, which is something I usually like to stay away from with wholesale. Not always. I've been testing certain things out lately and finding out that they do indeed share the buy box with you and you can make sales. It's not a big deal. But with wholesale, if I'm buying a number of inventory, right, like 50 or 100 or something like that, I generally prefer to stay away from Amazon listings where Amazon is actually selling it and owning the buy box. But that's just with wholesale, okay? So it's selling for $9.83. Just to give you an example, So obviously, and keep in mind too that if you do, one of the things I say with a lot of my arbitrage is you want to take the ASIN into Seller Central and make sure that you can sell it, but you don't need to do that when you're sourcing with a wholesale site like EE Distribution, because if you're buying and you're intending to buy more than 10 units of that actual product, you can use EE Distribution's invoice, not the pro forma invoice, but the actual invoice that you get after purchasing and it ships. You can use that invoice to get ungated in those top brands on Amazon, okay? So you don't need to actually research to see if you can sell it, because you will get accepted once you request approval and submit your invoice with EE Distribution's invoice, okay? So $983, what could I potentially get it for? Let's say I buy 108 of these, because I already know that this isn't going to be profitable most likely. So we're going to buy it for $640. I'm going to say, so $640, I'm going to say about 5 cents a piece to ship into Amazon, whether I ship it from my house in bulk into Amazon FBA, or I have EE Distribution ship it from their warehouse directly into FBA and label for me. I'm still not profitable. I'm losing $1.38 per unit if it's selling at $9.83 on Amazon, because obviously you see the fulfillment fee, you see the referral fee, etc., etc. Okay, so that's not a profitable one, but just to give you an idea, you'd want to go through and you'd want to sort through all of these and figure out, okay, this one you can buy potentially for $19.50, you can sell it for $29.99, do all the product research, are you profitable? Now let me show you an example of one that I did find that is profitable right here. As you see, I'm finding $47.03 per unit, roughly. Now, I do expect, it looks like it's a fairly new listing. I do expect that to shrink considerably as more and more people get into it. But even if it shrinks by 50%, I'm still making over $20 a unit on this. So this is a potential good product, right? So Star Wars The Black Series Archive action figures. I found that already. Literally those 4, right? You got, I think that's like Darth Maul. I don't even know. Darth Maul, Anakin, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda. Darth Maul, Anakin, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda. Boom. Same one. I'm buying it for... So the suggested retail price is a lot lower, actually. That's why I expect it to somewhat go down, but not all. Because look, if you look on this listing, it's selling for $81.99. That's the buy box price. But there's 9 other people on here with all roughly the same price in their listings, right? So everybody's pretty much agreed that this is what we want to set the market at. Now, I do expect it to shrink as more and more people hop on, and then we slowly start to see a race to the bottom, but I don't expect that to happen within the next 2 weeks potentially, where my units get into FBA. Maybe it drops down to 50, maybe it drops down to like 60, I don't know, but there's still a market for it there. And even if it drops down to like 40, right, I can still make money because I'm getting this at $15.56 a unit if I buy 32 or more, which is what I plan on doing, right? So let's do a little bit of the math. I'm buying $15.56 a unit. So $15.56 a unit, right? I'm going to say it's going to take me like 5 cents to ship it into FBA, because I'm going to actually have EE Distribution do it for me and label all my stuff. And if I'm buying 52 of them, scaled over all that, it's going to be super cheap to get them to send it in for me. So then what's my potential profit margin if I sell it for $81.99? Okay, my potential profit margin is a little under $50 right here. It's $48.68. Now let's assume that the purchase price drops down, the buy box price drops down all the way to like $49.99, right? Well, I'm still making $21.48 a unit. So even if it dropped down to $49.99, which is currently at $81.99, let me show you some calculators right here, because I love to run the numbers and figure out my profit margin. It's one of my favorite things to do. $21.48. To get the $15.56 price, I would have to buy 32 of these units. So $21.48 times 32 equals $687 just for buying these, having EE Distribution ship them into FBA, and then recouping my profit on Amazon. Okay, so let's assume that it doesn't drop down at all. Or let's say it drops down to like $79.99, right? Well, then I'm making $46.98. $46.98 times 32, and that is a $1,500 profit margin. And maybe that takes a month to sell, maybe it takes 2 months to sell, or maybe the trend starts bucking and it starts to pick up traction since it is a fairly new listing, and maybe it only takes a week to sell. Now keep in mind, I'm not going to have race to the bottom pricing. I'll have my repricing software set this up for all my FBA units in here for my wholesale to literally match the buy box. So if even someone new comes in, it's just going to match them. and it's just going to match them. I'm not into like a penny less because then it's just going to set off a repricing war all the way down to the bottom. I plan to match the buy box here, and then hopefully I can make maybe $500 to $1,500 potentially, depending on the price and the buy box price when my units get into FBA. Now, this lecture is going to be reverse engineering some retail arbitrage buys, okay? Because there's a good opportunity, a great opportunity actually, to go out to stores and source great products that you can resell, obviously if they're top brands, because you don't have to manufacture the demand for that product, okay? You don't actually have to go out and, create the brand for a private label listing or anything like that. That's why I love actually selling top brands and wholesale brands, okay? The issue with buying like deals in retail stores is twofold. A, your invoices can be questionable because you're going to have to use receipts sometimes, and B, you're going to be gated in a lot of those top brands. So then the question becomes, and I'll give you an example of how I reverse engineer this myself and how I've done that in the past, is you can use a site like e-distribution to get ungated in top brands and then go to retail stores when there's deals or clearance or anything like that and source those brands to resell on Amazon once you are ungated, okay? So what I don't recommend that you do is spend a lot of money to go out and source like a ridiculous amount of inventory to get ungated in all those brands. What I do recommend that you do, and keep in mind, I do not do a lot of retail arbitrage. I rarely do retail arbitrage. Once in a while, if I'm in a store, I'll check out the clearance section. I'm not going out of my way to source, in stores. I prefer to sit here and source with the software and source with all the other things and tools that I give you in this course to make money right from my laptop and get the products delivered to me or shipped into FBA for me, okay? So keep that in mind. That said, you can reverse engineer some deals in those stores if you see a great deal to pass up. Perfect example of this was I was in a Walmart recently, and I say recently, but it was probably maybe 6 months ago. And it was not 6 months ago, maybe 4 or 5, since it's currently March when I'm actually recording this. But this was right before Christmas, okay? So I saw a bunch of Barbies that were a ridiculously good deal, but Barbie is made by Mattel, and I'm gated in Mattel because that's a top brand on Amazon. Knowing that that's a toy brand and knowing that e-distribution invoices from a wholesale manufacturer sells toy brands and Mattel, I can then ascertain, obviously, that while I'm gated in that currently, I can then go back to e-distribution, buy something from Mattel, the cheapest product from Mattel that I can get ungated on Amazon, and then go source those Barbies, buy them, and make a lot of money on those Barbie toys because now I'm ungated, all right? So that's a perfect example of how I reverse engineer it. Now, if you like going to retail stores, by all means, you can obviously scale this method up. Reverse engineer it, okay? Don't get ungated first. See what you need to get ungated for that the deals are profitable, and then come back to e-distribution maybe after you bought them and get ungated in those. Now, I didn't make any money off this deal that I bought on e-distribution from Mattel, but sometimes you will. So if you come back and you reverse engineer that, maybe you want to strictly look for something like Mattel, so you can obviously go back into Scan Unlimited, which is the software that we've covered, and strictly filter in for Mattel as a brand. But what I personally did is I wanted to get ungated the cheapest, so I simply came over to the brands right here. So we scroll down right here, we see companies, and you can obviously click see more companies, and there's a bunch of them, but I see Mattel right here on the left right here already. So I'm simply going to click Mattel, and then I'm going to sort for the cheapest Mattel product that I can find and buy 10 of them, right? Because that's going to be the cheapest way that I can get ungated for Mattel, so I can go buy those Barbies and make a good markup on those when I ship them into FBA, because now I'm ungated, okay? Hence the reverse engineering of getting ungated with those brands. So what I want to do here is, now that I'm in Mattel strictly, I want to sort through and look for exactly, and I'm going to click Show in Stock Only, and we'll filter cheapest. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. So right here, money lowest to money highest. And it's going to show me the cheapest options that I can buy from Mattel that are in stock. And this is temporarily out of stock, although that would be relatively cheap. That's sold out. This is in stock right here. So this looks like it's the cheapest thing that I can buy from Mattel to get ungated on Amazon, and I need to buy 10 plus quantity of that, right? So I need to buy at least 10 of these to get ungated in Mattel. Okay, your invoices need to be 10 plus quantity of that specific item or that specific brand, so that Amazon will ungate you, right? If you buy 9, it's not going to work. So buy 10. So therefore, I need to actually buy 10 of these, and it looks like the cheapest that you can actually buy is 40 to 80, if I'm not mistaken. So you need to buy a case of these. So this isn't an actual brand that I probably want to get. So right here, you can buy 8 to 104 of these, even though they're sold out. Let's pretend, or this one's actually a good idea too, because you can buy 8 to 104 of these Unos. They are in stock, and they're only $4.95 a unit. So for me to get ungated from Mattel to sell Barbies, if I wasn't already ungated, let's pull up the calculator and see how much it would cost me, right? So the cheapest I can go is $4.95 because I'm only planning on buying 10 of these, and the least that I can purchase is 8 of these units initially, right? So if I buy 10 of them times $4.95, I'm literally only spending $49.50 to get ungated in Mattel, because once I buy these and I get the invoice from EE Distribution, I can send that invoice into Amazon through the ungating process. When I try to add a Mattel product in my inventory on Seller Central, I can submit that invoice and Amazon will ungate me like that. Then I can ship the Barbies in and make the money on the Barbies that I may have already purchased in hindsight, right? So that is how I reverse engineer retail arbitrage deals in stores to make money through getting ungated with brands and EE Distribution. You can do this with any wholesale supplier. You can do this with any store and any brand, assuming you know where to actually source that brand and buy 10 plus of that unit to get ungated. Now, like I said, keep in mind, I don't source retail arbitrage a lot. It's not something I really enjoy. I prefer to sit in front of my laptop and make money this way. But if you like that, or you have good stores that have good clearance sections or deals near you, this is another way that you can make money with wholesale and reverse engineering getting ungated with brands, just like I showed you.